Thank you for watching Let's Talk Influence. We're talking about telling the story through the lens, and today's episode is all about how do you choose the right shot. We're talking with award-winning photographer Praveen, and there's lots of exciting stuff coming up. Praveen, in your journey, the last few episodes, I've understood one thing. It's not just passion. It's not just commitment. It's not just using what you have. Uh, More than all that, it's something which you enjoy what you're doing.
Yes.
I think one of the key things which I really like in this conversation is you're enjoying what you're doing. I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think, it's not about doing it right.
Exactly.
Yes, we want to do it right.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy what you're doing,
Yes.
by the time we start the episode, it's almost coming to an end.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
today's episode is about
Yeah.
how do you take the right shot?
Yes.
You won international awards.
Yeah.
The big question is, yes, I'll use what I have.
Yeah.
But how do I take the right shot?
Yeah. That's a great question, Ashwin. I think before we answer that, before I say, or rather I help you understand how to choose the right shot, I think we got to go back one step and understand how to take the right shot, right? So you're on the field, you're in an environment, and there's a lot of subjects, there's a lot of things happening around you. You were talking about tsunami, right? There's so much happening all around you. And
Every frame you look is a frame.
Is a frame, right? Especially if you go to very scenic locations, every angle looks beautiful. And something, Ashwin, every time I come back from a trip, I have on an average about 6,000 to 7,000 photos. I use two cameras, two different lenses, and I bring about 6,000, 7,000 photos.
There's a lot of photographs.
And yes, there's a lot of images that I have to process with. For me, my benchmark is very high. So I'll tell you very honestly, I do about easily 6 to 7 trips a year. And in that body of work, in an entire year, even if I get 2 good shots, I'm happy.
Sure.
That's the kind of excellence that I've put for myself. So we live in a digital age. Listen, I started with analog photography, and you had only like 32 shots in a roll, and then you have to
And you
literally
go to the studio to develop it.
and spend a lot of money and time.
And we'll wait for the photograph
for
to-
days to for the photo to come. Now you've got to get everything right: your exposure, your focus, your aperture, your shutter speed, everything. Even if you're using an external light, flash, ratio, everything has to be on point. Like when you did analog photography. With digital photography, you can take thousands and thousands and thousands of images and bring it back to your studio. But first is when you're on the field, what I would do is I look for interesting subjects, right? What can tell a story better? So like I told you, remember I told you earlier, first get a sense of the place. Don't immediately go and start, unless you're on a time limit, say you're only there half an hour and you have to move to the next, then okay, I understand. But if you have some time, allow, walk. One good thing about photography is you can walk a lot, right? You walk and just get understand the location, get a feel of the place first. And then as you're walking, some ideas will come to your head. Okay, this angle looks good. What if I had a child running across this street, or there's a pool of water on the ground? What if I took a reflection and there's in the background there's a girl carrying water on the back? So I'm thinking, okay, how can I use this foreground to tell something with a background? So I was at Qatar for the World Cup, and everywhere you had fans dressed up in different colors, Argentinian fans, Mexico fans, and every place you turn around there's an interesting fan with makeup and stuff like that. So constantly I'm looking, okay, how can I take this person's photo or this energy? I want to bring that energy, right? I want people to, when they see that photo, I want you to, in your head, I want you to get that noise, that emotions of a World Cup.
Taking them into that space.
Right? Yeah. That energy and that excitement of the fans, lifting them. Because I experienced it while I was in Doha. Now, how can I communicate that to you? So I look at that. And then you also have to develop a few skills. Basic composition. You have to understand, basic composition. Of course, when you get extremely professional, you can break some of the rules. But I think as a beginner photographer, you need to understand the rules. You need to know what symmetry is. You need to know what composition is. You need to know the difference between framing and composition, right? What comes into your,
Correct.
That box is your box.
Correct.
You've got to know what needs to come
and
in
there's
that.
a balancing.
It's a balance, you need to know the art of balance. Little understanding of color.
Correct.
Right? What, if there's a blue background, contrast it with a red.
Correct.
Right? Some basic understanding of a color balance, color theory. I think all these are technical skills, which of course, like I told you, YouTube is one of the best resources that we have. There are free classes and, paid classes as well, where you can learn all this. But I think most important thing is you need to first get the right shot. Now, you come back to your home, you have a computer, you have, thousands of images. How do you choose the right shot? And for that, I'm going to give you an example. I was in Zambezi, in Zambia. It took almost a day for us to get there. absolutely remote place, no electricity. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's no cell phone network, no power. Just like randomly or somewhere in the middle of Africa. We were at this village where there was a sporting event that happened. Okay, so this is a sporting event between 2-3 villages or maybe more. It was a unique game. I've never seen this game. It's a mix of basketball and handball, and I think they came up with his own game. So they had two baskets, but instead of there's no cement floor, right? It's a ground, so they can't bounce the ball. So instead they were passing the ball around, and it's almost like a handball kind of a thing, and then you basket it. This again, like I told you, this was not planned. This was not part of my research. I was there. The sporting event was happening. So
that's another quick takeaway.
Right.
So nothing goes planned.
Nothing goes planned, right? Suddenly something happens. Instinctively, my gut instinct was like, okay, and I was there with my boss, and we were like, okay, let me, capture this, what's happening. And so there were two rival teams. Okay, so this was towards the end of the day, sun is setting, two rival teams, and it was all women. It was a women's sport. It was all young girls and mothers playing this game. And so one team won. I don't know which team, but one team won. And they were celebrating. I think they've been wanting to win this game. Maybe they never won this game. I don't know the background, but I could understand, sense the excitement and the emotion. So what they did is, as soon as they won, you won't believe this, Ashwin, the players and the villages, the women and kids, they all joined together in the middle of the sporting ground, and they started dancing.
Oh.
They were rejoicing. When I see, that's the real rejoicing, right? People are actually dancing as they are dancing. So it's a dusty ground. As they are dancing, the dust goes up. Now I'm a photographer, right? I'm going around in different angles, trying to capture this, different moods and stuff like that. So I have like easily about 50 to 100 shots just from that incident of celebration.
It's a very high energy.
High energy, and it's come out well because there's a backlight, the sun is setting, dust is going up. It's creating a beautiful landscape and ambience, and people are rejoicing. Now I have this is called curating. This process is called curating. So I use a software called Lightroom, and then what I do is I go through images after images. Every image looks good. So then this is where composition comes in. So I look at composition. I look at technical skills. Lighting. I look at areas where is there anything else? Is there any
which conveys the best
thing? So I keep removing. If this doesn't convey something, I remove it. Yeah. So finally, I land up with maybe 5 or 6 really good shots that I'm like, okay, I'm happy with these shots. Now, how do you choose that one shot? So this shot that you can see on screen is a shot that I decided, and it won a lot of awards for me. This is what we call punctuation. Punctuation in photography is one element in your photography that adds a drama, right? People are celebrating, people are rejoicing, they're dancing. That wouldn't have conveyed a story. In the middle or somewhere in the I framed it in such a way that she's on the right is a mother who's just so emotional. And she's crying, and she's just like, thanking God, and she's just dancing around. She's not bothered about the crowd. She's just dancing around. And I thought that's awesome. Maybe it was her daughter in the team. Or maybe it was one of her, sisters that won the match for her. I don't know the story. But for me, I saw that mother just enjoying herself and celebrating and, almost like praying and thanking God for this victory. And I wanted to capture that emotion. I think that's the emotion that was able to come across. Among all the plethora of shots that I took, I think this conveyed emotion, a powerful emotion that when you as a viewer watch it, you are inspired. There's something that touches your heart. This is one of my favorite images.
Yeah. It's a very powerful shot, and it conveys the story.
Yeah.
And for you to really win that jury international award, I know I'm not at all surprised, because that's an excellent shot, and it just not conveys the story. You actually take the people into that emotion.
Yes.
And this episode, the whole series is called Telling the Story Through the Lens.
Yeah.
And you told that story.
Yes. Now, do you know what camera I used? Do you know what lens I used? It doesn't matter, isn't it?
You're correct.
It doesn't
Nobody's
matter.
asking that question.
Yeah. Nobody's ever asked me what lens did you use, what camera or what SD card you put in, or what aperture or shutter speed. Doesn't matter. Right? At the end of the day, when it's up on my wall, it's up on a gallery, it's up on a jury, it's up on a award-winning stage. All that matters is what does that image convey to me. If I'm inspired by it, if I'm touched by it, that's the image.
Coming. Yeah. We are coming again to the close of this episode. But then, what I like in this whole aspect is everything has got an audience reaction.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I think as influencers, we got to understand. Even this episode has got an audience reaction. Yeah. We're doing this because we want to communicate.
Right.
At the same time, we should be open to the audience reaction. Yeah. And we're doing it not for us.
Yeah.
we're doing it so that it can help somebody.
Right.
If somebody is there who's saying, I want to be an influencer, I want to be a storyteller.
Yeah.
Am I learning something?
Yes.
So then we come as a solution provider.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
So the next episode, Praveen,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about unique aspect of the audience reaction, and that's something which some are great communicators, but somehow the communication goes well, but then if we understand the audience mind, it goes even more better.
Yeah.
So next we'll dive into that topic, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you on that aspect of how does the audience react and how do we actually tell the story from
Right.
that angle.
Yeah.
Looking forward to talking with you soon, very shortly on the next episode. But more than that, what you and I are talking is everyone who's watching this episode, not only are you an influencer, you're also more than a conqueror. Friends, don't miss the next episode. It's coming up soon.